Hello everyone, my name is Claudius Kazan. In this video, we take a look at interval inversions and compound intervals, those intervals that are a little larger than an octave. I also perform for you the number 17 from Robert Starr's Rhythmic Training, the assignment from last time, and the solfege number 12. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's talk a little bit about interval inversions. What are interval inversions? When we talk about interval inversions, we actually take an interval, we take the bottom note, and we flip it up an octave. Okay, as you can see on the tablet here with the red arrow, I'm taking the G from the bottom. This is just an example. G to B, taking the bottom note, and I'm moving it up an octave. I'm leaving the top note in the original interval where it is, and that note right now becomes my bottom note. So basically, you're flipping the two notes around. Now, when you do that, you end up with another interval, and let's do it backwards too. On the second one, I'm taking the top note in the original interval and flipping it down an octave. You can see that actually you end up with the same notes, okay, but an octave lower. So for us right now, we won't deal with inverting intervals down because basically you're ending up with the same interval and it's very redundant. So let's only talk about inverting things up, okay? Taking the bottom note, flipping it up an octave, and see what we end up with. Let's take a look at these intervals. Let's analyze them a little bit and see what we have. G to B, we know from 2 videos ago that third is a major third. Why? Because G to A and A to B are both major seconds in there, right? So that creates a major third. And B to G, the second interval, the inverted interval, it's a minor 6. Why? Because we have 2 minor seconds in the mix in there, B to C and E and E and F, okay? So let's see if that's true. There you go. A major third inverts into a minor 6. It doesn't matter, again, if you invert it down or up, you can see that we end up with the same interval, okay? So let's look at a few more. Let's look at G to B flat, okay? G to B was major. G to B flat, we're bringing down the top by half a step. That's a minor third, okay? By inverting that, again, we're moving the G up an octave. We're leaving the B flat where it is. We end up with a major 6 this time, okay? So basically, from a minor third, we end up with a major 6. Let's look at a few of them now. A perfect fourth, C to F. Okay, we take the C, we move it up, we end up with a perfect fifth. Okay, we take a perfect fifth in the second example, and we invert it. Same way, we take the bottom note, we flip it up an octave, we end up with a perfect fourth. Okay, I'm analyzing these quickly for you guys so you don't have to do it. Major seventh, C to B on the third example here. Again, we're taking the C up an octave, and we end up with a minor second. I can see already a pattern here being formed, okay? And I am looking at a few more here. D to G sharp. Okay, that's an augmented fourth, and if I invert it, I'm ending up with a diminished fifth, okay? A minor seventh, E flat to D flat, inverts into a major second, okay? And again, the minor third inverts into a major 6. I can see a pattern definitely going on right now, and this is the pattern, okay? Here you can see everything that you need to know about interval inversions, okay? Perfect intervals remain perfect when you invert them. Major intervals become minor. Minor intervals become major. Augmented intervals become diminished, and diminished intervals become augmented. This is in terms of their quality. In terms of which intervals invert into which intervals, it's very easy. Primes go into octaves, seconds invert into sevenths, third into sixths, fourths into fifth, fifth into fourths, sixth into thirds, seventh into seconds, and octaves into primes again. So it's very easy to see, how they invert. In terms of consonants and dissonance, you can see from my chart here, they do not change, okay? Consonant intervals remain consonant, okay? Perfect consonances remain perfect consonances. Imperfect consonances remain imperfect consonances. And dissonances also remain dissonances. For example, seconds are dissonances. They invert into sevenths. Sevenths are also considered dissonances, all right? You can see that for yourself really quickly, how, in terms of consonants, dissonance, they do not change. So you don't have to worry about knowing that. But I would memorize this perfect, it remains perfect, major becomes minor, minor becomes major, augmented, diminished, and diminished, augmented, okay? So that's pretty much. Now, you're going to ask me, yeah, but why is this important in music? Is this something practical to interval inversions? Why do we need to invert these? Yeah, it's fun to see how they invert, but what's the practicality to this? And I just want to go to the piano for a little bit, and I'm going to take right now just a few intervals in here. For example, if I take this perfect fourth, and I'm going to invert it into the perfect fifth. Okay? You can see immediately, oh, I can probably all right, that was just a quick improvisation on perfect fourth, perfect fifth interval inversion. All right, so you could see how you could get compositional ideas from just taking simple intervals and just inverting them. Okay, you can see in my right hand I did not change anything. Yes, the left hand changed so to make it more interesting. But what I did with my right hand, I just skipped that perfect fourth, perfect fifth, perfect fourth, perfect fifth going. I did not even change the pitches. Okay, so you can see how it's quite fun to play with interval inversions. All right, and later on when we move into triad inversion and seventh chord inversions, you can see how knowing about interval inversions is so important. Okay, great. Let's quickly talk about compound intervals now. Okay, compound intervals are intervals that are a little larger than an octave. And why am I saying a little larger than an octave? Because we're not going to analyze intervals that are larger than 2 octaves. We only go from intervals that are larger than 1 octave up to 2 octaves. Okay, after that, everything becomes redundant, and it's pretty much the same. Now, this is very easy. You don't have to sweat it too much. And I gave you 2 examples here on the tablet. First one is from pitch C to pitch D, okay? Something that sounds like this. Okay, you can see that that's quite a little bit of a space in there, but how do we analyze these intervals that are a little larger than an octave? Okay, first of all, you got to do one thing. You have to, in your head, eliminate that perfect octave, okay? So how do we do that? We go from C to C, okay? And we take that away. We take that away and we only look at the interval that's actually above that octave. And that interval happens to be that minor second. Okay? Okay, if that, major section, I'm sorry. If it's a major second there, then it's safe to say that my ninth, my interval above the octave, is also a major ninth. So my compound interval takes its quality from the simple interval above the octave. So that's quite easy to understand, right? Again, let's look at another one now. How about E flat to F flat? Okay. All right, that's a dissonance, definitely. E flat to F flat. Okay. We're looking at the interval, we're removing the octave, E flat to E flat, and we only look at the interval above the octave, the simple interval above the octave, and that is E flat to F flat, this guy. Okay? And you can see immediately that's a minor second. Therefore, my ninth, okay, if I put back the perfect octave in there, it's also a minor ninth. Okay? It's easy to understand. How about dealing with tenths? B flat to D. Okay, again, in your head, remove the octave and only deal with B flat to D, which is the major third. Therefore, your tenth is going to be a major tenth. Very easy to understand. How about C sharp to F sharp? Oh, that sounds consonant. That is my perfect fourth above the octave. All right, and you can see how C sharp to F sharp, this interval here, is a perfect fourth. Therefore, my 11th is going to also be a perfect 11th. Okay, good. Let's look at a couple more. How about a diminished 12th? Okay. Okay. Remove the octave again, and you're looking at that simple interval B to F. And that's my diminished fifth. We know that from last time. Okay? Therefore, my 12th is a diminished 12th. Good. How about the major 13th in this? C flat to A flat. Okay? C flat to A flat. Okay? That's a major 13th. Why? Because C flat to A flat, the simple interval above the octave, okay, it's also a major 6. Therefore, my 13th is going to be a major 13th. Okay, great. How about a diminished 14th? The 14th is the 7th above the octave. Okay, so A sharp to G. Okay, that is a diminished 14th. Okay, A sharp to G, because A sharp to G, simple interval, A sharp to G. Okay, it's also your diminished 7th. Okay, and finally, let's look at the perfect 15th, A flat to A flat. That's a perfect octave above the perfect octave. Okay, so that's also a double octave. Okay, excellent. Let's do some exercises now in building some of these compound intervals. Let's do it in our heads first, and then I'll bring them up on the table, see if we came up with the right answer. Okay, major 13th down from A flat. Okay, you should know that a 13th is a 6 above the octave. Okay, so it's fine right now if you just think about building a 6, a major 6 down from A flat. And then what you do is just move it down another octave, and you've got your 13th. It's very easy, all right? So what's a major 6 down from A flat? Well, I need some kind of a C, right? A to C, it's a 6. And eliminate the accidental in your head. A to C by itself, it's a major 6. Why? Because I only have one half step in there, the E to F. So I would need a C flat to keep the interval as a major 6. Okay, so C flat is the answer, but I have to write that C flat an octave lower now to end up with the 13th. So C flat, middle C flat actually, would be the answer. Let's see if that's correct. There we go. Okay, so C flat to F flat to A flat, an octave higher, is a major 13th. Okay, how about another one? A perfect 12th down from F. 12ths are actually fifths above the octave. Okay, the compound interval, you know, of a fifth plus an octave gives you a 12th. All right, so if I move, if I build a perfect fifth down from F and then spell it an octave lower, I will end up with a perfect 12th. So what's a perfect fifth down from F? You remember we have a little issue here between F and B. B is a fifth down, but F to B is a diminished fifth. So I have to bring that B to a B flat to create a perfect fifth. Okay, so F to B flat, but I'm going to spell that B flat an octave lower. That will give me my perfect 12. Let's see if that's the correct. There we go. F to B flat spelled an octave lower gives me a perfect 12. Okay, let's do one more. A major 10th up from C sharp. I need some kind of an E. C to E is a third, right? Because 10ths are thirds above the octave. And I know that C to E by itself with no accidental is a major third, right? And I will need an E sharp if I put back the C sharp on the bottom. So C sharp to E sharp also gives me a major third, but I will have to spell that E sharp an octave higher, and I will end up with a major 10th. So here we go. There's the answer. Okay, a major 10th up from C sharp. Let's do one more, an augmented 15th. Remember 15th are double octaves, okay? And I'm starting with a pitch A double flat. A double flat to another A double flat will be my perfect 15th, all right? So in order to make it just a little bit larger, augmented, I need to remove one of the flats in the double flat just to bump that a little bit higher. So the answer will be it's A double flat on the bottom to A flat 2 octaves higher. That will give me an augmented 15th. Let's see if that's the answer. There we go. Okay. Again, you probably won't find this particular one in actual music. Very unlikely. But we're doing things theoretically now just to exercise our brain. Okay. Let's do one more, and we're done with building compound intervals. A diminished ninth down from pitch F. Okay. The ninth, remember, is a second above the octave. So I need to go down a second and spell it an octave lower to end up with a ninth. So F to E is a minor second, but if I put a sharp on the E, I'm going to diminish it. So my answer is E sharp to F. E sharp on the bottom, spelled an octave lower. Let's see if that's the answer. Okay? I hope you guys understand this. It's not rocket science. It's very easy to understand. Reduce your compound intervals into simple intervals in your mind, and then just respell them either an octave higher or lower, and you end up with the proper compound interval. Okay? So that's all there is. Here's a little chart if you want to memorize this. The ninth, okay, it's a perfect octave plus a second. Remember, ninth can be of 4 different kinds, okay? Because seconds can be of 4 different kinds. You have major and minor seconds, also diminished and augmented, right? So that's why I put generically in there ninth, you know, and also generically second, all right? And these compound intervals really take their quality from the quality of the simple interval above the octave. And that octave, I'm spelling it as a perfect octave. Okay, so ninths really are seconds above the octave. Tenths are thirds plus an octave. 11ths, fourth plus an octave. 12ths are fifth plus an octave, and so on, all the way to the 15th, which is an octave plus an octave, basically the double octave. Okay. You might have to do a little memorization in here. Also, make sure you go to your keyboard and sound these pitches. Make sure exactly you understand how they work, how you eliminate the octave, and you look at the simple interval in order to give its quality, and so on. Okay? Great. Let's see in here. Let's do a couple more intervals within exercises with interval inversion this time. Okay? Invert the following intervals and identify them. Remember from the beginning I said that doesn't matter how you invert them, you take the pitch, the upper pitch an octave lower or the bottom pitch an octave higher. It doesn't matter. Let's do it, let's take the bottom pitch all the way up, okay, this time. So basically we take the bottom E sharp and we move it up an octave. So what do we end up with? We end up with a C sharp and an E sharp. Okay, C sharp, E sharp. Let's analyze that in our heads. Since we have the same accidental on both notes, we can remove the accidentals and analyze the natural interval in there. And the C to E without any sharps is a major third, all right? If we put the accidentals back on, yeah, the pitches go up, but the interval doesn't change. So the inverted interval is a major third. Now you can look back at my chart in there that thirds invert into six and six invert into thirds, right? So that means that if I'm ending up with a third, I'm beginning with a six. And you can analyze the E to C as you see it here. You can see that it's a minor six. A minor six will always invert into a major third, because six invert into thirds and minor intervals invert into major intervals. You can think about it this way, and you don't even have to analyze. You just analyze one, you know your chart, you know what the answer should be, okay? And there you go, this is the result. C sharp to E sharp, it's a major third, coming from a minor six, okay? Let's look at another one, A flat to F sharp. That's another six in there, but it's what kind of a six is A flat to F sharp? Well, A to F is a minor six, but I'm bringing the top up and the bottom lower. That means that I am augmenting my interval at this point, okay? If I go from minor to major to augmented, okay? So remember, six invert into thirds. So my resulting interval here is a third again, F sharp to A flat, because I'm bringing the A flat up an octave. So F sharp to A flat, it's a third, but what kind of a third it's going to be? If I'm starting with an augmented six, augmented intervals invert into diminished intervals. So my resulting third is going to be a diminished third. Let's see if that's the correct. Here we go. Okay, F sharp to A flat, it's a diminished third because I started from an augmented six. Okay, great. Let's do another one. D sharp to A sharp. Okay, well, what's D to A? Because I have the same kind of accidental on both notes. D to A is a perfect fifth. And I know from my chart that perfect intervals invert into perfect intervals. I also know that fifth invert into fourths. So I should end up with a perfect fourth. If this is a perfect fifth, as it is right now, D sharp to A sharp, my resulting interval should be a perfect fourth. And let's take a look. And there you go. A sharp to D sharp is a perfect fourth because I'm coming from a perfect fifth. Okay? Very easy stuff to understand. Okay? And this is all that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. It's interval inversions and also compound intervals. And we did a little bit of exercises with both of them. In your homework, you have an opportunity to do a lot more work with compound intervals respelling them and so on, and also labeling compound intervals. Remember, with compound intervals, you have to reduce them to the simple interval by eliminating an octave. And when you have to build them, just build the simple interval and spell the other note either one octave higher or lower than you would spell a simple interval. And you've got your compound interval, and that's it. Okay? Remember the chart for inverting intervals. Okay, perfect, remain perfect. Major become a minor, minor becomes major, diminished, augmented, and augmented, diminished. If you have that in your mind, it's fine. And also, what intervals invert into what intervals. Prime into octaves, seconds into sevenths, and so on. Okay? And consonants, dissonance-wise, they remain the same. Okay? That's no change in there. Great. This is all that I have to for you guys today in terms of the core theory stuff. I'd like to perform for you now the number 17 from Starr's Rhythmic Training. Okay, and that was on your assignment last time. Okay, and let me find the number 17, and let's quickly look at what were the challenges in number 17, if there were any. Well, first of all, this chapter deals with eighth notes all of a sudden, dividing your beat into two equal parts. Okay, so you can see how immediately on the number 16 and 17, we have the beat divided into two quarter notes. Of course, we're in 2/4, but then each beat could be divided further into two eighth notes. Okay, and you're dealing with eighth note rests also on the number 17. Okay, not just straight eighth notes like in number 16, but now you have also eighth note rests. And I mentioned to you last time, make sure that when you perform the number 16 and 17, you're actually dividing your beat very carefully into very equal parts. Okay, and the metronome should be able to help you. Let me put my metronome now at number 90. I like that 90. Okay. All right. And I'm going to perform again number 17, which was on your homework. Okay. 1, 2, let's go. Ta 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 ta. Okay, great. So not too difficult, right? You have to keep looking ahead. You have to make a difference here between the short notes, the eighth notes with a rest after, and your quarter notes. I think that's kind of important. And for example, what's in bar 2, ta, ta. Very short notes in there because they're followed each by half note rests. Compare that with what happens on the last bar on the first line in number 17 when you have two equal whole quarter notes. Ta, ta, okay? Hold those a little longer than what you did in the second bar where you had ta, ta, okay? So I think that's important to notice in there. Also notice that you can beam all 4 eighth notes in the bar under one beam. In the example that you saw on my tablet, they're divided. They're divided because you have 2 quarter notes in each measure, and it's easier to understand, right, how the measure divides into 2 quarter notes if you keep them 2 and 2 rather than put them all 4 of them. But doesn't matter. It's all correct and it's all good. All right? Very good. So for next time, I want you guys to go to number 18 and 19. Okay? This is still keeping with dividing the beat into 2 equal parts. But right now, you're going to be performing some syncopations here. Okay? So, meaning that you're going to tie two parts of one part of the beat that's unaccented to one part of the beat that's accented. For example, in the second bar in number 18, right? That's a syncopation. And the second bar and the third bar are exactly the same. They're performed exactly the same, but they can be written in two different ways. Okay, and Mr. Starr is showing you that you could write it, you know, with the two middle eighth notes tied together, or you can put them separated into a quarter note all by themselves, like it's in bar number 3. Okay, let me quickly just perform the first 4 bars in number 8, and then I'll let you guys figure it out for yourself. So let's put the metronome on. It's always good to have a metronome. Okay, so just the first 4 bars in number 18. Ta 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 ta. Okay, so those are the first 4 bars at metronome 90, and I will let you figure out the rest. So for next time, 18 and 19 from Robert Starr's Rhythmic Training. Great. Let me also perform for you the Solfege exercise number 12, which was also in your assignment. Okay, and if you look at the solfege number 12, new things in here are eighth notes. Again, since you're learning about eighth notes in the Starr book, I'm going to incorporate some eighth notes in here, and also, you know, couple rests here and there. Nothing. So the rhythm again, it's not too difficult. And the pitches, again, are not quite as difficult as the last one. Number 10 was a little bit difficult. But this one, it's a little more melodic, it's a little more, but incorporates eighth notes. So, again, sound your pitches when you learn this. La, sol, la, si, do, la, mi, la, sol, do, without any rhythm first, right? Go through your pitches really nice, and then you can just do the rhythm if you want. Ta, 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 and so on, okay? You can learn it as you did the Starr exercises, all right? But I will perform the entire number 12 in here, okay? And you can see that it's written in 4/4, so we have to conduct on the formula of 4. And you can see that it starts with pitch A and ends with pitch A, but an octave lower. Okay? So at the end, I will sound that A, make sure that I arrived at the proper pitch. Okay, so number 12, metronome at 90, and let's go. La, sol, la, si, do, la, mi, la, sol, do, fa, fa, mi, re, si, do, si, la, fa, mi, la, sol, do, la, mi, la, sol, la, si, do, si, sol, mi, sol, fa, mi, do, si, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, la, sol, la, si, do, re, do, si, mi, do, la, si, do, re, mi, fa, mi, do, la, do, si, la, sol, la, 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 la. Excellent. All right, great. You can see that this one's a little, you know, moves along a little quicker because it's got the eighth notes, but it's also a little more melodic. That pitch, la, in there sounds a lot in there, okay? So that helps you maintain the pitch throughout the entire exercise. Okay, you can also notice from a notational standpoint here, the two courtesy accidentals in line 4, the sol and the fa in there, all right? Why? Because 2 bars before, you had fa sharp and sol sharp. And for me to remind you that now you have to sing them natural, I put the 2 courtesy accidentals in there for you. Okay? Great. In my next video, we are talking already about the system of scales. Now, scales is one word to describe them, but I think a more fitting word would be tonalities. Okay? We're talking about the system of tonalities. Okay? And you'll see next time exactly why I like to call them tonalities. A scale is just a succession of notes in a particular tonality. Okay? But we're going to talk about the tonalities first, and then we talk about the scale itself, you know, the succession of pitches in that tonality. We're going to name all the pitches in the tonality. We're going to give them names, and you'll see immediately, oh, I've heard those names before. You know, now you can see exactly how things are starting to tie together. You will see how important it is to know a few intervals, especially your seconds, your thirds, and your perfect fifths. Okay? That's going to be very crucial, and make sure that you go back to these interval videos and you watch them and you understand everything very well, because next time again we're diving into the world of tonalities and the system of scales. We also look at the number 18 and 19, right, from the star book, and 2 more solfeges that I'm going to assign for you guys. So make sure that you ask for the homework, and that's it. Until next time, I hope you keep safe and healthy, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.